να συντονίζω σήμερα τη συζήτηση για το σχεδιασμό.
So we are going to be discussing now the vision for Thessaloniki. The title of this panel is Crafting a Vision for Thessaloniki, and I think we are discussing it with two of the most suitable people who are Mayor of the Municipality of Thessaloniki, Mr. Angeloudis, who took up his term recently and has already undertaken initiatives and actions that are being acknowledged by his fellow citizens, and Mr. Stavros Andreadis, who is the president of the Cultural Society of Entrepreneurs of Northern Greece and of Theophanos Foundation. He is a pioneering businessman who has shown also on a personal level in practice his personal interest for the future of the city by contributing through various initiatives in putting Thessaloniki on the international map. Thank you very much for being here, Stelios and Stavros. I would like to begin with the first question that has to do with your personal vision for the future of the city in the next few years for Thessaloniki. Mayor, would you like to begin? First of all, thank you for the invitation. Secondly, I would like to apologize for this small change that had to be made to the agenda. It is due to the fact that the Ministry of Culture, although we had a agreed call regarding the approval of the terms of the study for Aristoteles Square in order for us to begin, we had agreed to have this call at 4 o'clock, but they have moved it to 2:30 p.m. with the Minister of Culture, and that's why we had to make this change. I think your question is very significant indeed, but this is a very big question actually for our beloved city of Thessaloniki, and I think that we could be discussing it for hours and hours. But let me focus on the start by making an observation that no development plan can be successful if the city itself has not become a sustainable city firstly. That is, if we do not have the background based on which citizens, visitors, investors, guests, shareholders in the broader sense of the word, who participate in this dialogue on looking to the future of the city through development. But these stakeholders, firstly, have to feel satisfied with the environment, the services and terms and conditions under which they operate. So the initial question should be, is the city ready to provide all these high-quality services and data required in order to have an attractive environment within which we can configure the future? Well, to be honest, in my answer, I would say not yet. It is not yet ready. And I connect this also to the goals of the new municipal authorities. Along with an investment framework and an developmental effort being made by the municipality, what we also need to focus on and prioritize is to change the city into a sustainable, open, green, and resilient, of course, now, city. In order for this to happen, I think two things need to happen that are self-evident, and they need to move in unison. That is, for the major infrastructure that is absolutely essential to be completed, which is the obligation of the central government, whichever party is in power at any given time, and also the local authority to take the relevant steps required and initiatives in order to address any obstacles related to daily practices. These may require resources, human resources, and financial resources, of course, in order to do this. And it is essential for this to start happening right now. In order for a city to attract investment and move forward, and I can tell you very quickly what our next developmental effort could look like. I'm not going to tell you something new, but how we can get there. Well, our city needs to be clean. Its infrastructure needs to operate effectively with modern means and effective means of transport. A green, sustainable city, a resilient city should be our goal. Moving from the smart city to the city of AI. This is all self-evident and is absolutely essential in order to become an attractive city in the future. Well, what is the future and what does it look like? We need to meet all these requirements through a focus on pillars that will bring growth and be connected to what we called sustainability in the city. The advantages of this beautiful city, and I think we all agree on this, are three. Three out of many, actually, I'd like to talk about. First of all, its strategic position, where it has been located for thousands of years. Secondly, a geographic relief that gives us the opportunity to stand out compared to other typical urban developments, and also the seafront, along with the very special human resources living in the city. We know the disadvantages related to this, and we need to change them, but also we know the advantages and benefits that we need to further showcase. For the last 2 or 3 decades, we have moved away, of course, from that old industrial model of development, which came to an end in the late 80s and early 90s. And that was when the major deindustrialization of the city took place and of the broader region. We need now to look at the situation along 3 lines. The first is also linked to the example set by your own company and performs well, whereby companies of a global stature, of various sizes, do business in the field of innovation. And Thessaloniki brings forward all the relevant characteristics to become their first choice of investment. For many years also, and much has been written about the second element that has to do with valorizing the strategic position of our city. And this is very rightly compared only to Constantinople with regard to its strategic significance. But even in that case, there is a unique strategic interest which is connected to its northern axis and the Black Sea. In the case of Thessaloniki, we are at the heart of Southeast Europe. We are a hub, but we haven't yet taken even the essential steps required so that transport and logistics can become a broad entrepreneurial opportunity. The third issue that has to do with Thessaloniki is the tourism product offered. Nothing needs to be added rather than simply saying that Thessaloniki has so many benefits to offer: its monuments, its culture, its civilization, the surrounding area. Thessaloniki has so many assets in this regard, but nevertheless is lagging far behind the tourism development witnessed in other parts of Greece. These 3 areas do not cause a major disturbance, let's say, in order to be connected to the urban resilience of the city. But if tackled, they can create a model which in the next few years can lead to a city that can begin to create a new image. If we consider that this is indeed a model that can perform well, are there any indications that it can be successful? I do believe that there are such indications, but I don't know whether the relevant actions are taken at the necessary speed. However, in the next 5 years, and if we all work hard at the same pace and complete some basic infrastructure in relation to all three areas that I've just mentioned, and if we combine these efforts with a number of interventions that have to do with the cultures, with the city's aesthetics and culture, then we can indeed be successful. And I'm sure my dear friend Stavros Andreadis can say much more about this. You've put many topics on the table. Let us hear Mr. Andreadis' vision about the future of Thessaloniki and then have a more in-depth conversation.
Thank you very much for your invitation. It is an honor for me indeed to be joined in this panel by the mayor of Thessaloniki. The mayor mentioned the assets of this city. I would rather insist on some problematic aspects actually. First, I would like to say that nothing can happen if the community does not participate in such efforts for change. No theoretical approaches can be implemented in any action whatsoever if you don't have the participation of and engagement of the community. Therefore, I believe that in a case like Thessaloniki, in a city like Thessaloniki, a large part of its community has basically accepted a situation of degradation for the city. If you go just outside the city center, you will meet many of those people accepting this sad reality. And once you accept this sad reality, you have no force remaining for you to change things. And many people have now grown up in such a situation and have accepted those sad realities. If we do not change this, nothing, no positive impact should be expected. And this is basically concerns most of the country. Another issue that I would like to raise is this problematic relationship of cities with a highly concentrated central state. We do have such a heavily concentrated state in Athens, that always insists in maintaining all the power within a limited circle in and around Athens. In this respect, municipal authorities do not have the resources required to change things. All elected mayors, the first thing they do is to go and visit the Prime Minister, and they do so to ask for more resources for things that they should be able to do on their own. So this is a quite problematic situation. We should consider this and see what hindrances it creates for cities like Thessaloniki. Basically, Thessaloniki is one of the 50 European regional metropolises, cities that are no capitals but who do have their own specificities. For example, Bilbao in Spain became famous because a Guggenheim Museum was created there. So each one of these cities tries to enhance their privilege, their competitiveness, and attract, for example, more tourists. Thessaloniki is possibly the least known among those European cities. If one should ask Europeans about what cities they know about, they would tell you that Thessaloniki is among the least known ones. And this is indeed a disadvantage that can, however, become an advantage indeed, because Thessaloniki could come forward with a very different face and become a very interesting new destination among those cities. Another thing that the mayor also mentioned is the potential that we have around the city's universities. Possibly infrastructure is not the one that we should have. However, graduates are of quite a high level. Every year, at least 30 or 40,000 new scientists graduate from the city's universities, and this is a great asset for the market. So Thessaloniki could capitalize on all these advantages, but this can become a reality only if the city truly decides to improve several things that have not been improved so far in order for it to reach a level and make the city come forward and promote itself on the European level, and also attract people who will come to visit or work here. And a final thing, in the area of tourism, I see that neighboring countries are now doing great in terms of attracting tourists and investments, of course. And this also means a sort of a hinterland for Thessaloniki, a new hinterland that is now being created and could be for the benefit of this city. So in all these respects, the city could have a bright future lying ahead of it. Thank you very much. I would rather insist on the two problematic issues that Mayor Andriadis mentioned, mostly citizens' engagement and the incapacity of the city to act as an autonomous city, as an autonomous municipal authority. And of course, this is a problem not only in Greece, but also in other European countries and countries in the Middle East. We have seen that in other cases this problem is solved through the development of private and public partnerships. Now, the question of citizens' engagement for the implementation of actions undertaken by the municipality. What do you think that could be improved in this respect? Well, continuing on what Mr. Andreadis just said, I would like to say that in Thessaloniki we do have this idea of being a city that wants to become modern and still is and somehow looking into the past and towards the east. So this is quite a complicated situation. Indeed, there is this thinking that also transforms into actions quite often. So when Thessaloniki reaches a point of implementing several actions, quite often the situation is reversed in terms of truly implementing initiatives. Let me give you just one example, and possibly all of you may know about that. Now, the issue of waste collection. While we have at this moment the possibility to organize this system effectively, we do have at the same time a quite a problematic situation in terms of large waste that is simply being placed on sidewalks outside buildings, although people do know that they can contact the municipal authorities and let them know that they will take all these voluminous waste outside their buildings. They do not comply with this system. They simply take all these stuff outside of their homes and place them on sidewalks instead of simply contacting the municipal authorities and organize the collection of such waste. So this is indeed an example that shows how specific situations have been have taken a permanent character, I should say. Of course, municipal authorities should become much more autonomous institutionally. At this stage, it is absolutely impossible for a city like Thessaloniki to decide upon basic things that we're not talking about financial investments, for example, here, because Mr. Andreadis of course, mentioned this heavily concentrated, heavily centralized Greek state. And of course, all these efforts from Athens to control whatever is happening around the country, and all political parties seem to be contributing to this situation. Could there be some different approach? Of course, there could be. For example, the introduction of a metropolitan organization, for example, in the case of Thessaloniki, that could be through such a scheme to handle issues such as the creation and development of businesses, which nowadays must always search for authorizations from Athens and going from service to service and department to department for them to obtain any authorization or license whatsoever. And quite often this is a heavy and cumbersome process that one needs to follow in order to create a new business. Currently, for some other reason, the extension of the sixth pier of the Thessaloniki Port Authority is now being delayed because a master plan needs to be approved first and has to go through that complicated process. one should add on this the fact that even the least metropolitan character is nowadays absent in the case of Thessaloniki. We do have the central municipal authority that could possibly wish to implement a project that also concerns some neighboring municipalities. And should you have no good chemistry with those neighboring municipalities, you should expect great delays in order for you to simply implement minor changes. And now, in the area of finance, everything seems to be depending. For example, if you want to ask for some more financial assistance, you can only contact the central government to acquire money for the implementation of projects that actually concern the everyday lives of citizens. The resources made available to the municipal authority is only for implementing minor projects. So this can be done either through the imposition of municipal fees, or municipalities can do absolutely nothing, because as the situation stands, actually such funds could only be made available through the approval of the central government. So in this context, a municipal authority should not only record and take track of problems, but also make sure that through initiatives such as corporate social responsibility actions, things could be improved, and these should eventually give us the possibility to cover several needs. There are, of course, people such as you representing businesses, and this is quite common internationally. There are indeed things that can be financed either by municipal money or with money coming from the central state, but this is quite common to have big businesses taking advantage of their business choices to also leave their own footprint in terms of what the local authorities are asking for. So let's also consider this element. Improvements can come only through the participation of everyone. You also mentioned the strategic location of Thessaloniki and its location right next to the sea. The city is considered as quite cut off from the sea, actually. How can one redefine this relationship between Thessaloniki and the sea? This could be important not only for mobility purposes, but also to redefine the identity of this city. Now, before considering this, let's see what our relationships to ourselves is. We all need to understand the fact that we are still facing considerable organization issues. We have not been able to organize a state in which we can believe, a state that can also believe in us, the citizens. There is always this relationship between citizen and state, a relationship of trying to avoid problems and a rather unfriendly relationship between the state and the citizen. So let's start by admitting this. If you want to provide solutions, you first need to start by identifying the problem. In any case, Thessaloniki can have a great future. Quite often, we Greeks are able to take huge leaps into the future and create new situations. We all need to become aware of the role of each and every one of us in terms of how we handle issues, how we organize things. We should wish to become part of a of this larger community. Possibly this is not among our characteristics as Greeks, but this is the only way in which we can start building a city and a country of tomorrow. We can do this, and we can make sure that we will be able to live in a much better living conditions in the near future. So before concluding, a last comment from you in terms of what words could define the future identity of Thessaloniki in the near future, that is. Now, before that, I would like to reply to the question asked to Mr. Andreadis about the relationship of the city with the sea. The sea has many perspectives for this city. The one is basically about further development and growth. The sixth pier should have already been constructed. This must this project must be completed as swiftly as possible, and this will bring the city much closer to the sea. The second thing I would like to say is that the sea can be used in order to enhance the identity of this city. Try to imagine what this city could look like if the subway system became a reality, if all mobility systems could be improved together with sea transport, sea mobility opportunities that could create a new image for Thessaloniki with the airport being linked with the city center much more effectively and quickly, with a much improved image along this sea journey from the airport to the city center. This possibility should be reconsidered because we now also have other mobility possibilities in place. In 5 years from now, I would like to see Thessaloniki having resolved all sustainable mobility issues. That is, from the 40,000 trees that Thessaloniki now has, it should have at least 1,000 trees. It should double the overall green spaces in 5 years' time. It should have handled all mobility issues, traffic-related issues, all interventions that we have already considered should become a reality, should be implemented. Several renovation projects should also have been implemented by then. Aristoteles Square, the area in front of the Ministry of Macedonia and Thrace, etc. The Liberty Square among them, coupled with other renovation projects, both on the east and west side of the city. Now, if all stakeholders involved can could coordinate their efforts, Thessaloniki can indeed take this huge leap, into the future. And Mr. Andreadis, a last comment from you. I would see Thessaloniki as a city that carries the whole of European history in it. It has indeed contributed in the shaping of Europe. It should be able to promote this characteristic of it and also become a new and modern city at the same time. I think that the moment has come for us to conclude. Very interesting thoughts have been expressed during this panel, and we have also identified all the challenges that lie ahead for the years to come. Thank you all for participating in this discussion.